You know what's interesting? The moment a woman realizes she lost a good man, it doesn't happen when you think it does. Most guys assume that if she rejected you or pulled away, she's done. She's moved on. She's happy with her decision. But here's what actually happens behind closed doors, in conversations women have with each other. Conversations most men never hear. There's a process, a psychological timeline that unfolds whether she wants it to or not. If you've been ghosted, rejected, or you're watching her interest fade right now, you're probably replaying everything in your head, wondering what went wrong, wondering if she ever thinks about you. Here's the truth. She does, but not right away. And not in the way you'd expect, because women don't just wake up one day and realize they lost someone valuable. It happens in 3 specific phases. And each phase reveals something different about what she's feeling, what she's realizing, and why she suddenly can't stop thinking about you. By the end of this, you'll understand the exact timeline of her regret, and why good men are the ones she regrets losing most. Now, I'm not here to tell you to play games or manipulate anyone. That's not what this is about. What I want to do is give you clarity, real clarity about what's happening in her head after she's walked away from a good man. Because here's what most guys don't understand. Women process loss differently than men do. It's not instant. It's not obvious. And it's definitely not what it looks like on the surface. So if you're watching this and you've been rejected, ghosted, or you're watching her pull away, I need you to know something important. Her current behavior, the distance, the coldness, the way she seems completely fine, that doesn't tell you the full story. There's a timeline, a psychological process she's going through, whether she realizes it or not. And understanding that process, that's what gives you the power to stop wondering, stop overthinking, and start seeing the situation for what it actually is. Here's the situation. Right now, she feels justified. She's convinced herself that leaving was the right move. And you know what makes this even harder? She looks happy. She's posting on social media. Maybe she's already dating someone new. From the outside, it looks like she's thriving without you. And that makes you question everything. Was I not good enough? Did I imagine the connection we had? Does she even care that I'm gone? But here's what's really happening beneath the surface. When a woman walks away from a man who actually treated her well, there's always internal conflict. Always, even if she doesn't show it. Even if she's the one who ended things. The human brain doesn't like cognitive dissonance. It doesn't like the feeling of I left someone who was good to me. So what does she do? She rationalizes. She focuses on your flaws. She exaggerates the negatives. She tells herself stories to justify her decision because psychologically, she needs to protect her ego. And here's the part most men don't realize. The better you treated her, the harder she has to work to rationalize. Because deep down, some part of her knows that good men are rare. And walking away from rarity creates a psychological tension she has to resolve somehow. So she resolves it by convincing herself you weren't that great. That's phase 1. That's where she is right now. So let me break down all 3 phases for you. Phase 1. Relief and rationalization. This is where she convinces herself she made the right choice. And everything looks fine on the surface. Phase 2. The creeping doubt. This is when comparison starts. Memories resurface, and she begins questioning her decision. And phase 3. Full realization and desperate regret. This is when it finally hits her what she actually lost. And by then, it might be too late. Let's start with phase 1 and exactly what's happening in her mind. Phase 1 typically lasts about 1 to 2 weeks after the breakup or rejection. And during this time, she feels liberated. She feels like she made the right call. There's almost a sense of excitement because she's getting attention from other guys. She's going out with friends, and everything feels fresh and new. From the outside, she looks happy. She's active on social media. She might even start dating quickly. And if you're watching all of this, it destroys you, because it looks like she never cared at all. But here's what you need to understand about phase 1. It's a performance, not for you, for herself. She's working overtime to convince herself that leaving was the right decision. And the way she does that is through something psychologists call confirmation bias. She's actively searching for evidence that supports her choice. She remembers every argument. She replays every time you annoyed her. She exaggerates your flaws and minimizes the good times. Her brain is literally filtering her memories to build a case for why she needed to leave. And here's why this is so important to understand. The better you were to her, the harder phase 1 is for her internally. If you were terrible, she doesn't need to rationalize. She just leaves and moves on. But if you were genuinely good to her, if you were consistent, reliable, emotionally available, then her brain has to work double time to justify the decision. She has to tell herself stories. He was too nice. He was boring. I need someone more exciting. These aren't truths, they're rationalizations. They're defense mechanisms her ego is using to protect itself from the cognitive dissonance of walking away from someone who treated her well. So what does phase 1 look like behaviorally? She's going to seem fine. More than fine. She might seem thriving. She's posting pictures. She's laughing. She's out with friends constantly. She might hop into a rebound situation fast because new attention validates her decision. If you run into her or if she responds to you at all, she's going to be distant, cold, maybe even condescending. Because any warmth from her would crack the narrative she's built. She needs you to be the problem. She needs you to stay in the bad guy box she's put you in. Because if you step out of that box, her entire rationalization falls apart. Now here's what most guys do wrong in phase 1. They chase. They reach out. They try to prove their value. They send long messages explaining their side. And every single time you do that, you're feeding her rationalization. You're giving her more evidence that you're needy, that you don't respect her decision, that she was right to leave. Your chasing becomes the proof she needs that she made the right choice. But if you understand phase 1 for what it is, an illusion she's performing for herself, you can hold your frame. You stay silent, not out of anger, but out of understanding. You let her have her moment of certainty. Because phase 1 can't last forever. It's psychologically unsustainable. The excitement fades. The new attention stops feeling validating. Reality has a way of breaking through rationalization. And that's when phase 2 begins. Phase 2 usually kicks in around week 3 to week 6, sometimes extending to 8 weeks depending on the situation. And this is where things start to shift for her. The excitement of phase 1 starts to fade. The dopamine hit of new attention wears off. And something unexpected happens. She starts comparing. Every new guy she talks to gets measured against you, whether she wants to admit it or not. And here's the thing about comparison. It's rarely kind to the new options. That guy who seemed exciting at first. He's inconsistent with his texting. The one who gave her tons of attention. He's needy in a way that feels off. The confident one. He doesn't really listen when she talks. And slowly, quietly, she starts noticing things. Little things. Things you used to do that she took for granted. The way you remembered her coffee order. The way you asked about her day and actually cared about the answer. The way you made her feel safe, even when she was being difficult. This is when the scarcity principle kicks in. What she rejected is now unavailable, and that changes its perceived value. When you were there, she could take you for granted. Now that you're gone, especially if you've maintained radio silence and haven't chased, you become a mystery. And humans hate unsolved mysteries. We want what we can't have. We obsess over what we've lost. And for her, you're starting to shift from the guy I left to the guy who got away. If you've been following along, you're starting to see the pattern here. Phase 1 was about her convincing herself she was right. Phase 2 is about reality, slowly dismantling that conviction. And the behavioral signs of Phase 2 are different from Phase 1. She's not as active on social media anymore. She's not posting as much. She might start checking your profile more often, looking to see if you've moved on, if you're seeing someone, if you seem okay without her. She might reach out to mutual friends, casually asking how you're doing. She might send you a breadcrumb text. Something small. Hey, I saw something that reminded me of you. Or how've you been? These aren't random. These are tests. She's dipping her toe back in to see if you're still an option. And this phase can be confusing for her because she's dealing with something called hedonic adaptation. The excitement of freedom that felt so good in Phase 1. It's normalized now. It's not special anymore. And when the high wears off, she's left with the reality of what she actually has versus what she gave up. The new guys aren't measuring up. Her friends are tired of hearing about her what-if thoughts. And the doubt that was just a whisper in the back of her mind in late Phase 1. It's getting louder. But here's the critical part. Phase 2 is when she's most vulnerable to reaching out. If you've held your silence, you're now in a position of power because she's the one wondering about you, not the other way around. But Phase 2 isn't regret yet. It's doubt. It's confusion. It's maybe I made a mistake, not I definitely made a mistake. And that distinction matters. Because real regret, full, undeniable regret, that doesn't hit until Phase 3. Now, if you've made it this far, you understand the pattern. You've seen how Phase 1 was an illusion and how Phase 2 planted the seeds of doubt. But Phase 3, this is where it all crystallizes. This is where the regret becomes undeniable. And I need you to pay close attention to this part, because it's going to change how you see your entire situation. Phase 3 typically doesn't hit until at least 2 to 3 months after the breakup. Sometimes 6 months or even longer depending on how quickly reality forces the comparison. And what triggers Phase 3 is accumulated evidence. It's not one moment. It's 100 small moments that finally add up to an unavoidable conclusion. She made a mistake. Here's what crystallizes it for her. Maybe enough time has passed and enough guys have rotated through her life that she can now make a definitive comparison. And you, consistently, undeniably, come out on top. Maybe she sees on social media that you're doing well, or worse for her, that you've moved on or you're seeing someone else. That triggers panic. The idea that you might actually be gone forever, that someone else might have what she threw away, that's a psychological gut punch. Or maybe a major life moment happens. Something stressful, something scary, something where she needs emotional support. And she realizes the person she wants to call, the person she feels safest with, is you. But she can't, because she's the one who left. Or maybe, and this is common, she experiences how other men treat her when things get difficult. And she finally understands the difference between your consistency and everyone else's inconsistency. You stayed calm when she was emotional. You stayed present when she was difficult. You didn't punish her with silence or coldness or manipulation. And now she's dealing with guys who do all of those things, and the contrast is devastating. Her friends might stop being sympathetic to her, "What if I made a mistake?" talks. They're tired of hearing it. And that isolation forces her to sit with her thoughts alone, which makes the regret even louder. This is when the observable behaviors change dramatically. Phase 3 is when she reaches out directly, not with breadcrumbs, but with real attempts at contact. Texts that are longer, more vulnerable, More emotional. I've been thinking about you. I made a mistake. Can we talk? She might apologize outright. She might try to show up at places she knows you'll be. She might reach out through mutual friends more aggressively, asking if you're seeing anyone, if you ever talk about her, if there's any chance you'd be open to reconnecting. And if you're active on social media, she's watching everything. Every story, every post, looking for signs of your life, looking for signs of whether she still has a chance. But here's what's happening psychologically that makes phase 3 so painful for her. Loss aversion is in full effect. Losing something hurts more than never having it in the first place. And she's realizing that she didn't just lose a relationship, she lost you. The specific person, the specific dynamic, the specific way you made her feel. And that's not replaceable. She's also dealing with something called counterfactual thinking. Her mind is running loops of what if I hadn't left him? What if I'd appreciated what I had? What would my life look like right now if I'd stayed? And those loops are torturous because she can't undo the past. She can only live with the consequences. And here's the part that makes it worse for her. Time creates clarity. The emotional fog she was in during phase 1. It's lifted. The confusion of phase 2. It's resolved. And now she sees the situation objectively. She sees that you were good to her. She sees that she took you for granted. She sees that good men are actually rare, not common, like she assumed. And she sees that she might have burned a bridge she can't rebuild. But, and this is the controversial part I'll get to in a moment, by the time she reaches phase 3, something else has happened. You've had time too. And that changes everything. So here's the controversial truth I need you to hear. And this is the part that changes your entire perspective. By the time she reaches phase 3, the question isn't will she regret losing me? The real question is, do I still want her back? Because here's what nobody talks about in all these dating advice videos. Good men are rare. Not because most men are bad people, but because most men don't have the combination of emotional maturity, consistency, patience, and strength that you offered. And when a woman walks away from that, she's not just losing a boyfriend, she's losing access to something genuinely scarce. That's why these 3 phases exist. That's why the regret is so predictable. Because even in phase 1, part of her knows what she's walking away from isn't common. But here's the part most men miss. Her regret doesn't obligate you to take her back. It doesn't mean you've been sitting around waiting for phase 3 to hit so you can finally get validation. Her journey through these 3 phases is about her. Your journey is about you. And by the time she reaches phase 3, 2, 3, 6 months down the line, you've had time to heal, to grow, to move forward. You've had time to realize that someone who didn't see your value in real time doesn't automatically deserve access to you once they finally wake up. This isn't about revenge. This isn't about making her suffer. This is about recognizing your own worth independent of her realization. You don't need her to reach phase 3 to confirm that you were a good man. You already were. And a woman who truly valued that wouldn't have needed to lose you to figure it out. So let me ask you, have you seen a woman go through these 3 phases after losing you? Are you watching someone go through them right now? What phase do you think she's in? Drop it in the comments. I want to hear your story because every situation is a little different, but the pattern is almost always the same. And here's another question. If she reached out to you in phase 3, genuinely apologetic, genuinely regretful, what would you do? Would you take her back? Would you hear her out? Or have you moved forward enough that her regret, while validating, doesn't change your decision? Let me know in the comments because that's the real conversation we need to be having. If this video helped you gain clarity on what's actually happening behind the scenes, hit that like button. If you want more content on dating psychology, understanding female behavior, and holding your frame in difficult situations, subscribe to the channel. I break down these patterns so you can stop guessing and start understanding. But most importantly, I want you to remember something. You are the good man who got away. Her 3 phases of regret. That's her journey. Your journey is about building a life so strong, so focused, so aligned with your purpose that going back becomes impossible. Not because you're bitter, but because you've outgrown the version of yourself that would settle for someone who needed to lose you to see your value. Stay strong. Stay focused. And remember your worth.